Today we're joined by Karl Bird, a radio presenter, entertainer, YouTuber, content creator and unapologetic movie enthusiast. Karl is known for his infectious love of film, his deep knowledge of cinema and pop culture, and his ability to connect with audiences to the stories that they love, whether they're through radio, online video or social media. He is also a passionate advocate for Lincolnshire, championing local culture, creativity and the idea that big conversations about film and storytelling don't only belong in the big cities. In this episode, we talk about movies, media, fandom, content creation, and why loving film and where you're from really matters. As it happens, we grew up together, spending our childhood in a small village in Lincolnshire, recreating movies as we played together. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Karl Bird to Location Links Loud. Thank you so much for joining us on Location Links Loud, Karl. I'm thrilled. For anyone who doesn't know you yet, how would you describe what you do and how it fits into your everyday life?
Well, I'm currently a content producer for BBC Lincolnshire. I have a specific role once a week, being the film buff and the film fan, which I beg them for, basically. It's not part of my normal role, but because I love film so much, like, can I have a film slot? Can I just talk about films? So I do that. I'm also a YouTuber. I've done series on Lincolnshire, just purely from my love of the county and wanting to get it out there, that Lincolnshire is an amazing place. And apart from that, the other thing I had to mention is I've got to get it right, I'm a set jetter.
You are?
I didn't hear about it. I never heard of it before until I started doing it. Visiting locations, not just Lincolnshire, but all over the world. 350 to date, which has been... people give me strange looks and then what on earth are you doing? Why?
But you do talks about it as well. So this is
I do talk.
Right passion, shall we say?
Yes, probably an obsession, but
there's nothing wrong with that.
Strange, I guess. But
do you remember the moment you realised movies weren't just something you enjoyed and something you wanted to talk about and share with others?
Yeah, do you know what? I mean, we grew up together.
We did.
In Kiel. I would be the one who would not just enjoy the film and pretend to be someone from the film, but I go to a location, create my own little space in the fields behind the house, running up Fen Lane, like Rocky, because Rocky I grew up on. I was like obsessed.
It was obsessed. Yeah.
So I just wanted to not only be the character or learn the lines or enjoy the film, but I wanted to immerse myself in being that person. It meant so much to me. And so I used whatever location around me to be in that film. I was Rocky running up the steps.
So on that, have you actually been to the steps since?
I mean, that's where it comes full circle. That was one of my bucket lists, probably my biggest bucket list. Everyone else has probably got normal bucket list items. I wanted to climb the steps in Philadelphia. I first had to learn it out and work out exactly where it was. I knew it was Philadelphia. So I went there and I remember someone filming me recreating it. I wasn't quite as quick as Sylvester Stallone, but and that memory stayed with me.
So talk me through it. So I'm going to go right back to the beginning of Karl growing up in Lincolnshire, and looking at, for me, it was when in the 80s, like the 80s stalwarts, the Spielberg films that made America feel so far away at the time for us playing in a village.
Yeah.
Thinking about the Goonies, thinking about BMX Bandits and all these BMX Bandits in Australia, but all these places far away from our little village in Lincolnshire. Yeah. To think now, if you could say to little Karl and little Heather, in 12 years' time, you'll have been to 350 global filming locations. What do you think Karl would think?
When I was younger, I thought that was just like you said, it was Hollywood. It wasn't something you ever touch, but to be able to do that, it was just the most amazing experience of my life. And I think in a sense of, I wasn't very good at history and learning things from books. I needed to be in the place. So I always use locations. I had to go to the place to really understand it. And that's what the films allowed me to do. You know, I started looking up films. Where's Star Wars filmed? Oh, Tunisia. Well, I haven't been there yet, but it's on my list. Do you know what I mean? And I'd never heard of Tunisia, or I never understood what it was. But the films allowed me to not only enjoy a film, but just do that. So it would be, you know, dream big and realize these films can have more impact on your life than just watching a film.
And the path to traveling actually went through work. So you I know, because we also worked together there. We had our stint at Butlins in the 90s.
Yeah.
You were an entertainer there. And then you went on the cruise liners.
Yeah.
And so was it the cruises that enabled you to hop off the boats and go wherever I am, go and find something nearby? Or did you specifically target going places?
Definitely in America. It brought me closer to some of the locations in America. But the annoying thing about cruises, you only saw the port most of the time. So, but that got me excited and think, if I can travel around a bit of America or things like this, what's possible? And after I finished on ships, I gave myself 7 to 8 months to do a world tour on my own, backpacked, and my point to point was film locations. I used that as the tool. I thought, what's this trip going to be about? And instantly I knew it's going to be film locations. You know, some I didn't get quite right, but and I went to places I thought they were filmed and they weren't.
Oh no.
Yeah. So for example, I went to Shanghai. Not just Shanghai, it was on my trip. And not Casino Royale, Skyfall with James Bond. The scene before, he's in Shanghai and he gets a chip from Macau that says where the villain is, and he has to go there. If you don't know the story, it's one link to another. So I went then to Macau expecting to see this floating casino, golden casino, that he swoons in on the gondola. And I got to Macau, I start looking around, wow, this is amazing. It's going to be around here somewhere. And then I thought, hang on, let's Google it. I should have done this before. And it was filmed in Pinewood Studios.
Yeah.
So that was just one, but I've done lots like that.
So talk me through some of the highlights.
Oh, I mean, I remember when I went to go to the bridge on the River Kwai. I went to the real one, and that wasn't filmed there either. But in a way, I'm glad I went to the real one, you know, because the history of the actual place there, I love the film, but film and history go hand in hand now. You know, not only do I want to enjoy the film, especially biopics or historical films, I want to go and learn the place and learn the history and bring something back more than that. And, you know, that was an amazing highlight. Slumdog Millionaire, I went around parts of India, definitely the Taj Mahal, you know, and where he steals the shoes. And I've got selfies trying to recreate that exact shot. So I've done that many a times, but, you know,
so,
that was
was that what sort of started your path onto doing YouTube content, so that you were filming this as you I assume?
Well, I mean, to bring it back to Lincolnshire and locations here, I saw the impact around the world just by one scene that was in a big film, that all these tourists, they had tours, follow the Slumdog tour, follow this tour, and all these people had this amazing image because they'd seen it on film. So then when I came home and I was settled back in Lincolnshire, I thought, oh, this is cool. And I started traveling a bit, and I saw Lincolnshire, and I went to a few of the locations that I knew were in Lincolnshire, got me excited. And then I just thought, hang on, there's so much to Lincolnshire that no one's ever seen, but if it was in a film, you know, it would have such an impact. And I'm a proud yellow belly. I love Lincolnshire. It's so missed. You know, everyone sort of skips Lincolnshire. And I just was passionate. So I did a whole series, not on film, but on the history of Lincolnshire and why it's important. And I did so much knowledge about that. You know, you've got the rolling hills, you've got the seaside, you've got, and this sounds like a publicity stunt, but it's not. It's just my passion for the county, that there's so many places. You know, it's the second biggest county, and yet hardly anything's ever filmed here. Mm-hmm. It's like they're missing out so much. And I found all those places just by doing a historical tour of Lincolnshire.
And I think so. This is the catalyst for Location Links. Is as a filmmaker who had come out of Lincolnshire and looking to come back and do a film in the county. Nearly 2 years, 18 months ago, there was no film office in Lincoln, across the county at all. And now the county understand the benefits of set dressing. And like we say, it's a phrase once you say it, you go, of course, yes, it makes sense. You know, the economy that comes with tourism after film is immeasurable. And there is film happening all over the country. And I questioned, like, why isn't it happening in Lincolnshire? And the catalyst for location links and being connected to the councils, I came on your radio show and was like, why? Why is this not happening? And we've made such great endeavours over the last 2 years, but there's still so much to do in getting it on the consciousness of filmmakers and creators and producers and location managers to consider coming in. It's a constant reminder. And as we're currently discussing this in the spring of 26, we're really hoping that more productions are going to come into 27 and into the county. So I'm an advocate like you are. Let's talk about what we know about films that have been shot in Lincoln and the wider county as well. And so Lincoln's pretty impressive with the cathedral and the castle. Should we have a name off?
Well, the funny thing with that, though, is there's still so many people don't realise some of those films were in Lincoln.
Big films as well. So The King.
Yeah.
Napoleon.
Napoleon.
Downton Abbey and the Castle.
Yeah.
Peterloo.
Yeah.
The thing with Tom Hanks.
Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code, thank you. So big movies. Rush was filmed in Haverhill Park.
Yeah.
Pride and Prejudice. Then we get into the big houses of Lincolnshire.
Yeah,
Pride and Prejudice, Burley House. I think of Pride and Prejudice, Bridgerton, Grimesthorpe.
Yeah.
And I think another couple of
Belton
House.
But for the spin-off.
But that takes me right back to Moondale in the 80s. But I think there's been other things there since. But what the county does have is an immense amount of privately owned, large country properties.
Yeah.
We're actually sat in Wisholm Hall, which is part of Lincoln University's campuses. And again, it's a fantastic location and a blank canvas for a production designer, because these rooms are able to be emptied and creating it whatever decade you want or whatever era you want.
And I'm guessing as well, I mean, I don't know too much about the specifics about bringing film crews and things here, but I'm guessing that you've got so much accessibility. You know, you 5 minutes away, you're in the Wolds.
Yeah.
Coast is half an hour away.
Yeah.
Whatever film I think you're getting, you've got it all here.
I'd say by the words of Visit Lincolnshire, it's city, coast and countryside.
Yeah.
So the three C's, I should say. What's radio allowed you to do that, like, you think platforms don't, and where does online content give you more freedom?
Do you know what? It's been easier to talk about and track down Hollywood stars, for example, you know, and talk about film. A lot of the times when I'm trying to create documentaries, which is my role, podcasts and things like that, we can't get there, it's too inaccessible. Yet through radio, a quick phone call, quick chat, you know, I've managed to get some interesting talks.
So you did a documentary piece for the BBC about the glider drone in Boston.
Yes.
Tell me how that came about.
I literally I used to drive past it. My grandparents used to go to bingo there. So it's definitely been in my mindset and thinking about this historical building. Then I think I heard one rumor that it was in a bit of difficulty. And so I wanted to investigate. I was like, let's put this in the spotlight and see if something can be done or generated by this, you know. And I got all these celebrities on board who'd performed there, the stars from. I got Rick Wakeman, for example. I got the guy from ELO, not Jeff Lynne, the other guy, and other people who performed there, Manfred Mann, all these old stars as well. And they were just so passionate about it. Scouting for Girls 1, you know, and it just spiraled into them giving their passion for this place and highlighting it again.
Tell me a little bit about what it's like. I mean, you work in audio, so tell us about what it's like to walk into the Glidodrome. I've only been there once, but it was a massive music venue in the 60s and had the biggest stars go through there.
Oh, absolutely. the thing as well, for example, what I got from the people talking about me, they could tell the sacred place that they'd gone into. When you walk into it, you see a whole roll call of names around the dance floor, the main hall, as it were. And it's one of the oldest ones in the country. Nearly all of them been knocked down. They kept this going. You know, it's got Tina Turner, David Bowie, you know, all these fantastic stars, The Who, Elton John, all on here. So you walk in and you think, wow, you know, it's like walking on the hallowed turf at Wembley. You realize this is something special. And the cool thing about it, you know, I got a tour backstage and the dressing room's exactly the same as they were in the 60s.
Yeah, and that for a filmmaker,
Yeah.
it's a really special venue because it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It's so authentic to its peak of its time.
Yeah.
That, you know, you think, I mean, something like a film like Northern Soul, it didn't film there, but it's a sort of thing that they could have come in and not have to do a thing because it is still as it was. And there's a lot of places across Lincolnshire that are unaffected by time, is what I used to say. So a film that we're looking at taking into Grimsby and Cleethorpes is set in the 90s.
Yeah.
There's not much changed since the 90s. So there's the benefits of cost in Lincolnshire. It's cheaper to film here. The benefits of North and North East Lincolnshire being on the catchment of the Yorkshire Screen and Humberside film funding. And we are campaigning to try and get a film fund for the wider county to encourage more film into the county. And I know that the advocates within the council are discussing that. It would be amazing to find private investors that match that. I'm going to go back to you. I go off on the bring it in.
But in that sense as well, I think in my head, because I guess London is always on film because you've got woods, you've got things there, but I recognise them now that they've been in one film, you know, from different periods and different eras, and not everyone would understand that, but I'm starting to when I see it. Yet, you know, if you've got a creative idea, if you've got something slightly different, something new, guarantee if you filmed it in Lincolnshire, for example, it would bring that new creativity because it's never been on camera before.
Virgin location.
Yeah, exactly. So it'd be like that. Oh, wow, this is a new film. You know, it's a completely different location as well. So you'd like, you know, bring those two together, I think.
How important is authenticity when you're talking about films or pop culture to an audience? Let's think about the people that are listening.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a kind of pop culture film expert. That it's
Well,
yeah, had to be so. And that's authentic to you. And do you think the audience buys into that?
I hope so. I think that if you're passionate about something, that always comes through. And I think the best films, you know, if you talk to directors or creators, and you see a really good film, you know, it's been with them their lifetime. You know, it's a story they probably wanted to create for years and years. For example, if there was a film on the glidodrome, you'd want to film it in the glidodrome because even the creakiness of the floors, even the echo and the sounds, you know, that's authentic in itself. And the people making it would be passionate about it as well.
I really want to see more Lincolnshire stories, authentic Lincolnshire stories on screen. There's not been a lot of filmmakers that have been to the county are bringing in stories from outside in.
Yeah.
It would be great to generate authentic stories at a scale, not a small short film. I mean, it's great that there's lots of short films happening as proof of concepts, but doing a big movie in Lincolnshire that really is rooted in Lincolnshire would be fantastic.
Yes. I'll give you one example, for example.
Okay, go.
With that in my head just now, I remember going to Yorkshire and I used to stay in youth hostels when I was doing my touring a little bit and a bit of filming. And I came downstairs to breakfast and there were two chaps in the breakfast room. And we were chatting, oh, where are you from? And one was from the south and one was from the Midlands somewhere. And I said, oh, I'm from Lincolnshire. So, both of them have been to Lincolnshire. You don't really go to Lincolnshire. You go past it, you go above it, you go. And then I said casually, and I remember the conversation, I said, oh, you know, Isaac Newton, he's from the house there and that. And they said, no, you mean someone like Isaac Newton? No, Isaac Newton is from Lincolnshire. They could not believe that Isaac Newton, probably the greatest scientist of all time, is from Lincolnshire. You know, you can visit the house, you can see the apple tree. there's never been a big film on the greatest scientist of all time, Isaac Newton, and the authenticity
I'm making notes.
was being the actual apple tree. You know, that is just stunning to me, and that they could not believe a character like that.
I've had people, Skegness, the town me being in Skegness. I don't know, you're from Scotland.
Yeah.
No. Are there any particular genres and eras or filmmakers that really shaped your tastes?
Well, do you know, I'm not the biggest sci-fi fan, but Star Wars is definitely up there. I mean, that really shaped everything for me. But then I grew and went into Rocky, and that's sport of drama, I guess, as well. But, you know, so yeah, I guess sci-fi simply because of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily a Trekkie. I'm sorry.
I'm a latecomer to Trekkies.
Yeah, I like, for example, the new films. I thought they're brilliant. But yeah.
But yeah, Star Wars for me too.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back because I know something that in your current career you've interviewed somebody recently that was kind of career highlight. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I do the podcasts and the BBC Sounds, and it's actually about stories from Lincolnshire. So, for example, I did the glider drone. Well, I'm doing the most bizarre story on Laurel and Hardy, and they've affected every part of the country. Every part of the country, in a nice way, has got a story about Laurel and Hardy, when they came to visit, blah blah blah. Well, mine is that, you know, they had such a huge impact on Grantham and the area around Grantham. Stan's sister ran the local pub in just outside Grantham.
Wow.
And Stan's father is buried in
my goodness,
in Barkston near Grantham.
Wow.
And it was an unmarked grave for years. And the Appreciation Society, Laurel and Hardy, they actually clubbed together and made this headstone.
Wow.
Because no one knew it. For years, no one really cared, or not cared, but they didn't know it, because these stories weren't told. And so I went and made a few phone calls and tried to get as many people who I knew were fans of Laurel and Hardy. One of them happened to be Mark Hamill. And I got in touch with him and I had a chat with him. It was 1 o'clock his time. I remember it well. So I had to stay late for work, but I didn't tell him that. Late in the studio. And we did a Zoom chat, and I got 35 minutes with my hero, who I grew up worshipping. And he's the biggest Laurel and Hardy fan in the world. And he even said, I'd love to come and do a pilgrimage around the Grantham area.
I'm more than happy to stay with you. Exactly.
So yeah. But they are great stories, you know, they're all about Lincolnshire.
That's brilliant. I think, how do you approach to the reviewing or discussing films on radio, and in a way that's passionate but still honest, if it's something that you don't like?
You know what? I'm a bit of a nice critic, although I can say if I don't really like it, I will, but I'm very kind. There's some probably a bit more brutal, but I like to be constructive with my word and criticism. But you know, I just love any film, and I will say you have to see films in the cinema, you know, and a big thing, I'm an advocate for that. Yeah, you can enjoy all the platforms, they're amazing, but I believe directors, they made films.
Yeah, I'm having massive memory coming crashing me now, and that's Poppets at the Phoenix Cinema.
My favourite still.
And you and I going to see Baby, which was about a little dinosaur, and Caravan of Courage.
Oh my gosh, the Ewoks, Phil. Yeah.
Wow.
I still love Poppets, by the way.
Yeah.
And one of the best things in
Can't get them in the cinema now, are they?
No. Oh, no, you can.
Oh, okay.
The best thing, because I know, the best thing in Lincolnshire as far as cinema, there's some amazing little ones. I love the Cinema in the Woods. It's one of the oldest cinemas in the country.
In Woodall Spa.
In Woodall Spa in Lincolnshire. And my tradition is still to go and get Poppets.
Talk to someone listening what the Cinema in the Woods is like to go to.
Well, I mean, it is over 100 years old. It's celebrating 100 years. There's not many cinemas that do that. It's situated in the woods, and it's more than just going to the cinema like an Odeon ticket and just paying and getting it and go and come back out. It's a whole experience. You go there for the nostalgia. You walk in the main room. They've got memorabilia from all the decades. Laurel and Hardy, James Bond stars, Star Wars, R2-D2, when they were doing the films, was outside there, and they just make it a whole experience. They've got an outside area where you can watch them in the summer outside. Horror films like The Blair Witch, which you shouldn't really watch outside. No, exactly.
Especially if the character's called Heather, I hate it.
Yeah.
So.
But it is just a wonderful experience, and it's so much more than a cinema. But it's not just the only one. You've got Louth Cinema, you've got the Mablethorpe Cinema as well. These independent cinemas.
The one at Louth, I can't remember the name of
the low end.
It's got an Art Deco kind of 1920s, 30s exterior, and again, as like if you're a location scout looking for something that feels kind of grounded in London in the 1920s, 30s, because it's next to what is a marketplace that is the Market Hall, but that could double up as a King's Cross station.
Absolutely.
It's very built up, but very old London, not ancient medieval London, but that kind of 1920s, 30s feel, pre-war, pre-bombing, basically.
Yep.
And again, it's a beautiful town to walk around. I really like Louth. Depending on where in the county you're from is what you say. Could be Louth, could be Louth, could be Louth.
You called me the other day to say...
How do you say it? Yeah.
You said Louth.
Louth, yeah.
I say Louth.
Louth, yeah. It's the big Lincolnshire debate. It's a big county. We've got different dialects everywhere. As a genuine movie enthusiast, what is it about film that keeps putting you back in? And I'd love to hear more about your exploration of more of your locations that you've been to.
I think now, I guess I'm a little bit biased now because I've made going to locations part of my life, and when I watch a film now, I genuinely see the landscape behind it. So I'm probably more biased, but if it's stunning visually, and I think more importantly, there's a lot of CGI, but nothing can beat an actual location using authentic areas. And I look for that now more. I enjoyed the Marvel films, but CGI probably went a bit too far with that. And so it's definitely the landscapes, the areas that really draw me in. I want to see Lincolnshire on it.
Film fandom. It can be incredibly powerful. I went to my only Comic-Con in San Diego when I had an opportunity to go. And it is so fascinating to see fandom at its peak.
Yeah.
To be fair. Fan base is fandom. How do you see your role in shaping conversations rather than just opinions?
Yeah.
Getting people talking about Lincolnshire, talking about film, not just having an opinion on it. Because I find that opinions of Lincolnshire are usually strong opinions of people who've not been there. And I've had conversations where, it's up in the northwest, and it's like Stamford is an hour, less than an hour.
I just think it's one of those rare places in the country that's got everything. That's literally got, you can recreate, in like we talked about in Louth, the old Victorian style streets. Then you've got the coast, 50 miles of coast. Some places only have a tiny square of coast. We've got all that. And then, the annoying thing that I hear a lot is, Lincolnshire's all flat. Yes, some of it's flat because of the runways for filming used in in World War II films and things like that. But the Wolds, I can't even think of a film that's used the Wolds, yet it's some of the most stunning landscapes ever. And I'm desperate to see something, filmed in the Wolds. I think the only careful thing you've got to be is you don't want thousands of people there all the time, because you still want it that little untouched, But to see films in the Wolds would be absolutely amazing. It should be done.
Do you feel that there's still a misconception that film and film culture only exists in big cities?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that comes back onto me saying that you see London on film all the times, and the woods nearby. If you're filming a wood location, if you're filming a hospital, it's nearby. And I still think it's that. Look at how many films have been filmed in Lincolnshire. Not enough. And I guess that's in other places as well. But Lincolnshire is probably the most untouched place that I've seen. And I guess at the minute people are looking for the safe bet of going to the places that they've already used and familiar, and not taking that little bit of a risk or a little bit of a creative mind to say, let's do something different, which Lincolnshire would offer.
Yeah, and on that, what does Lincolnshire offer creatively that people outside the region might be underestimating?
Well, I guess they're probably aware of the aviation side of it, for example, the runways, the old air RAF bases. But if they're not, I can only think of maybe the Dam Busters and Memphis Belle that was filmed here. But
There was a recent John Travolta was in a short film that was shot here as well.
Right.
The Shepherd. That was shot on East Kirkby. Trying to think of others, war films.
There was one like the Battle of Britain that flew over the Boston Stump. But the Dam Busters features Lincoln Cathedral in it as well, for example. I'm going
to answer the question that's been asked as well, because there's a lot of modern buildings in Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
It's not all just old Victoriana or the Spa that is a spa town. There's the new North Sea Observatory, which is a stunning modern building. Now, I always think about things like in Avengers, they used a college in Norfolk to be the Avengers.
Anglia, the place,
to be the headquarters for the Avengers.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of modern buildings here as well that could be futuristic content. So if you are looking, don't just look to the past, look to the future as well in Lincolnshire.
There's a new colonnade at Sutton-on-Sea, which is a huge building. Looks Marvel-esque, in that way. And that opened last year, for example. They're spending lots of money on the coast, bringing all these new buildings. And I remember in, I think it's Rogue One, my Star Wars knowledge, they use an escalator in one of the scenes.
In Lincolnshire?
No. Oh. But what I'm saying is that's possible and accessible in places.
Yeah, so for the next Star Wars series, please do take a look at Lincolnshire. As someone who loves cinema, how do you feel when you see Lincolnshire locations appear on screen?
Oh my gosh, I go mad for it. I literally tell everyone. And that's not just at work. I am such fun. I remember when they were filming just for the Bridgerton spin-off, I can't remember, Queen
Charlotte, yeah.
Yes. We went undercover. One of my jobs was legally, it was to go undercover and find out what we could ask. We went up to the security guards. What's it about? And they have all this funny, being in the industry, the genre. Oh, what does that film title mean? No, it's not a film. No, we're doing something else.
So we work under code.
Yes, exactly.
And then you spend also if somebody gets like a phone call for a code job, you're like, what could it be? You're trying to figure out what the codes are. So when you see, this is one thing I'd love to see, the location unit signs that get put up all in the sound because there's filming happening on location, and you'll see them. Most people don't know about them. They don't know that if you see LOC, they know that location's that way. If they see UN or unit, or even, and there'll even be the code on there as well.
Should you be giving this away?
Probably not. but they're the unit signs that show how the crew get to the set and the set. But how to find your dinner as well. Usually where the catering is at the unit base. So I'd love to see some bright pink location signs all over Lincolnshire.
I went to one in when they were filming at Burley House. They've used it for a couple of films, but the one I went to see, I think it was The Flash.
That was at Burley.
With Michael Keaton's in it and Ben Affleck's in it. And I went from the day I heard on the grapevine, not many people did, but they had basically the Warner Brothers sign there, and I mean, I couldn't believe the amount of trucks, by the way, that they brought. Hundreds and hundreds of trucks. And I think they were only probably there for 2 days as well.
Yeah.
And then I remember walking around to one side, because you could always see the house. You could see that they'd imposed some set on the side of it. And I walked around to the guy at the end, and security guard. Now, I'm not going to drop him in it because I don't know who he was, but I literally went up and I was very casual. I definitely went there for a purpose, trying to find out what film it was. But I was like, oh, what's going on here then? And he literally said, oh, it's The Flash. And I don't think he was supposed to say that, but maybe he must have cracked under the pressure.
Yeah.
But that day, Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, they were literally yards away. But I couldn't get to them, but I was just amazed.
And there's a reason why the security.
Yeah.
So, are there places in the county that you think are crying out to be used more in film and television?
Yeah, I'll always say it, the Wolds. I don't think I've seen anything. it comes back to the conversation that I had with those two gentlemen who'd never been to Lincolnshire, who think it's all flat. The Wolds, when I did my research of Lincolnshire, I must have got some of the most unbelievable shots of rolling hills where no one is in the shot. So if you're, I think is it 28 days later when Cillian Murphy, and they had to shut part of London Bridge, and it was just almost an impossible task. They had to do it at one point because it was always full of people. Well, you've got a whole landscape where there literally is no one, or nothing,
and that's not just
all
the
of
landscapes. That's one thing about certain towns within the county as well. I'm aware would shut the town down.
Yeah,
You know, it costs thousands to shoot in central London. They would do it for free.
absolutely.
They'll do it for free.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think this kind of takes me to the next question. What would you say to filmmakers who haven't considered Lincolnshire as a filming destination?
Well, I mean, it's got to be so easy. I won't say so easy, but a lot easier to film than most places, because I'm sure there's a lot of red tape, because those places are used to filming, used to restrictions, used to all the difficulties. Whereas because it's new in Lincolnshire, you've got probably people who own bed and breakfast who are welcoming people like, oh my gosh, we've never had this before. Come and, we'll embrace it. And there's people, in all the towns who are the mayors, or whatever they would say, oh, this is so exciting. We've never seen this before.
And in some ways, this is why we have codes. It's there's not every film happens, and there is a scouting process, and just for people that are considering becoming a location and towns that get scouted and get looked at. Sometimes the films don't happen. So the excitement that we felt when I've brought projects in, it has been hold your horses as well, because this might not happen. Yes. We still have to go through the process of checking whether you'd be okay with It's like if you want to film on a street, the council can go through the process. Yes, you can film on the street, but we still need the residents' buy-in as well. Yes. So we have to reveal as filmmakers that we want to film. And then the excitement has happened in Lincolnshire that it's like, is it coming? Is it coming? And sometimes it doesn't happen. So what I am hoping in the future that we'll have lots of inquiries that people I'll with location links with the properties that are registered, they will know and they'll get used to people coming, and it will become a much more. But I don't think I ever want to see the enthusiasm go away, because it is so much fun to see these things happen in a place that it hasn't happened.
Yes. I'm imagining, for example, in the big cities, they're just used to it and it's another day. I think somewhere like Lincolnshire, they would just be over the moon.
I think Londoners that have their route to the tube, that actually just have to go 2 minutes out of the way to go to the tube because you can't go down that road, get really annoyed.
Yes.
Sorry, Londoners, that you do.
We take you there.
We'll walk you around. Yeah. The way we consume film and media is constantly shifting. How has that changed the way you create content now?
I mean, you've got to think more from an easily accessible point of view, and getting it out there, I guess, quicker. Our day, you'd watch something on TV, or no, you'd go to the cinema, it'd be a year on TV, or America would get it a year before us. I mean, literally, it's all instant. So I guess the fact that you probably need to create things more rapidly would be a big thing in that regard.
What excites you most about where film culture is heading next?
That hopefully originality is coming back. That the times of let's rehash something that's already been done is sort of waning a little bit. Sequels, I love sequels, but it's never going to be as good as the first. And I hope that I can see an image with new creativity, new possible ideas are coming. I'm intrigued, in the last year, what's been your standout films? I mean, one battle after the other, which is it's on its way, hopefully for big Oscar win. It's won recently at the BAFTAs. That's an original idea. I just love all original ideas. So I guess those ones, having said that, Gladiator 2, I was desperate to see that, and that's a sequel. So that goes against everything I've said. Gosh, I'm trying to think of all the films now.
Have you seen I Swear?
I haven't, and I should.
So we could have talked about that.
I know all about it.
But I think from as a British filmmaker, independent film, it's really refreshing to see a British-made independent film, which actually didn't get backing from the BFI, find its audience, and then to see recent BAFTAs wins across the board. It shows that there might be a new wave of British filmmaking, of the Billy Elliots and that kind of the Richard Curtis films.
Yeah, we all know the Full Monty, which was from nothing into something big.
So that
low budget
regional storytelling. Should stop with that. But the low budget regional storytelling that can really talk to British audiences. I think we've gone through a phase of big Hollywood blockbusters. That are not me sat at home or Johnny sat in Boston. I'd really love to see more British films really breaking through at cinema and then finding an audience.
I think we've always had a history for being really good at that. Maybe big films have overtaken that, but you think in the 80s and 90s, like Gandhi and Chariots of Fire, even way back to then, they were small budget in a sense, or not expected to be big films, and they were so well written, so well created by our industry that they ruled the roost.
What has talking publicly about film taught you about yourself?
Oh my gosh, I'm a nerd. That I've got a strange I mean, everyone's got that in them, but me talking about film locations, I get the strangest looks and like, why are you doing that? What are you going there? But it's really brought out a passion. So I think when you find a passion, you're living life more fully as well. So I feel like the daftest thing, whenever I go to a film location, I learn something about the area. For example, I'd never been to Bath, and I went to Bath simply because Les Mis was filmed there and other films that I'd researched. And then I came back learning all about Bath, and I'm like, I want to go back to Bath.
And Bridgeton as well now.
And it comes back to that thing of learning it. So,
If you could give one piece of advice to someone in Lincolnshire who wants to create content or work in the media, what would it be?
It needs to be done, basically. Do it. Don't be afraid, even though I guess coming from Lincolnshire doesn't have the biggest pedigree, I guess, for being in film and TV. Don't let that stop you.
I'm going to stop you there because I think that's because it's not publicly known how many people have come from Lincolnshire that have done really well in film and TV and high-end TV. Philippa Lowthorpe, who's director of H is for Hawk, is from Grantham.
Wow.
Farron Blackburn, who did Dark Materials and Discovery of Witches, I think he's from Grantham too. Maybe they're all from Grantham. You start looking at our ambassadors that all work in the film industry.
Yeah.
There is a calibre. It's about having an aspiration and knowing that you can have a route into film if you are a young filmmaker in the region. And it's finding, which brings me to networking actually. It's finding networking and going and putting yourself out there and having conversations with local filmmakers and national filmmakers. We run networking events for the creative industry, not just for film and TV, but if anybody is into art, wants to see if there's crossover into the industry, as we build and we invite people to come in, we should also be building our own respect for each other within the county.
Absolutely.
And I think there are a lot of fantastic filmmakers that have come out from the region, and we just want them to come back.
Yeah, and people don't know them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that has to be said.
We also had Shane Meadows come through Lincolnshire last year.
Yeah, I remember I went there to...
I'm sure you still
Yeah.
Did you go down to the set?
I did, but it was, I think, either hours or a day after. But I talked to the locals who'd been near the pier and saw where he'd set up, and he did it sort of, discreetly, which I'm sure a lot of people do anyway. They don't even realise it. So when someone says, yeah, they were there and they were filming, like, no, what? No, why didn't someone tell me?
No, that's it was nice to see. We had a few things come through last year. It's nice to see that he from the East Midlands and really does have a love for the East Coast as well, and sort of going through Skegness and Grimsby last year, as we were talking to Thomas Turgoose about it as well.
I think just on that as well, talking about Skegness, everyone's got a story about Skegness.
Everyone's heard of it. Most people don't know where it is.
Yeah.
No, I would say that. I think there's a lot of stories in Skegness.
Yes. And childhoods and memories, we talked on
we have created a sitcom together with a friend of ours, and plenty of people saw it, but we're hoping it's going to find a life one day. What are you excited about right now, creatively and personally?
Creatively, the next big story that I don't know that comes up Lincolnshire, whether it be from a film point of view, whether it be a big film set coming here, that obviously gets me excited. But the next story that I don't know that I could tell in my role as podcast documentary maker, but then the other possibility of that landing into a big film, that it's told on an even bigger scale, which would be amazing.
Is there a project that you'd love to explore next?
Oh,
whether that be through your documentary making, Radio Docs?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few on the pipeline that are just an image, and this is where it comes from. When you were talking about advice you'd give to someone, wanting to film here or start a career from here, every single documentary that I've had, the glider drone, talking to Mark Hamill, they were dreams. They were like, bit of paper, let's just dream big, put that down there. It's not going to happen.
What are they going to
They happen. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they've all happened so far. There will be knockbacks, but there's going to be one, and my next one I'm going to do on Butlins. It's 90.
Is it?
This year. I was there when it was 60.
I wasn't.
And, when I got to meet, I forgot her name. edit this out. Sheila Butlin, but Billy's wife, she was the guest of honor, then. And that sort of thing. There's so much heritage and history, and not just history about Butlins, but the stories that people have been there and shared. That's an amazing catalogue. I'm excited to explore.
You know where in the war there's a whole load of guys that were based on there. But,
yes, and here's
HMS something.
Yeah, well, they had one in Wales, Butlins in Wales. Pwllheli. Don't quote me. It might have been another camp, but the Duke of Edinburgh was based there at Butlins during the war.
Love that. Love a bit of Butlins, don't we? Why do you think platforms like the location links are important for places like Lincolnshire, for what we're trying to achieve?
Because it's one of the few things in the film can be seen by not just people in Lincolnshire, all over the world. You've got a huge market in America. Americans coming over, people from Asia, people from Australia, everywhere in the world. By putting it on a location, you're attracting. You've got an audience. You've got a free audience of millions of people to literally come and see it. And so a place like Location Links, who's the role of attracting these things, it's free advertising for the whole world, to see.
Yeah, I think we're both equally passionate about the county. And how would you like people to feel after hearing your story today?
As passionate about Lincolnshire as I am, and that, and it's not just me just trying to be a promoting source or anything like that. It genuinely is a passion that Lincolnshire is so underrated. Like I said, it's the second biggest county in the country, yet we're only tapping into 1% of its potential, and it's just got to change.
If you had to recommend one Lincolnshire location as a perfect film setting, where would it be, and what kind of story would be set there?
Oh my gosh, well, it'd have to be Rocky 7, going up steep hill in Lincoln. And when he gets to the top of steep hill, he does what everyone does at the top of steep hill. Oh, I can't do that again. gosh, I mean,
So you should just send a message to Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, yes.
What's he going to say? What's he going to say? No, or he might
do his training around the whole, the whole of the Bailgate.
I love it.
Climbing the steps, that would be amazing. But no, I think I'd like to see something, whether it's a drama or something. And I'm going to come back to my favourite place in the world is the Wolds. I want to see a film on the Wolds with the sunset, the rolling landscape, something that just picks there. Because, so many people haven't seen it and it just has to be seen.
Thank you, Karl. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and thank you for coming on Location Links Loud.
Absolute pleasure.
This podcast was created by Keel Productions in partnership with the School of Creative Arts at the University of Lincoln and brought to you by our headline sponsor, Associated British Ports. Join us next episode where we'll meet with Dominique Webb, an independent creative producer and co-founder of female-led If It Is Productions.